it is very evident when students start this assignment late because their work is not reflective of the process that we're asking you to be engaged with for the assignment. So I'm going to talk very briefly about it today. Caroline has embedded a fantastic video all about this in the e-content that you can go back and watch. But I do want to make sure that you just have a little bit of an understanding of what it is. And then we're going to do an activity in the workshop today to try to understand how artists approach this idea of a folio of work or a series of work, because those words are interchangeable. A folio of work, a body of work, a series of work. I will say those things and they all mean the same thing. Folio of work, body of work, series of work. Okay. All right. Hopefully you're not feeling too nervous about not having Caroline anymore. I promise you, you're in good hands. I have taught, this was actually the first unit I was ever hired on 8.5 years ago. So I've taught this unit in faculty and here at QUT College on and off for those last 8.5 years. So don't worry, I've got you. So the folio requires you to come up, it's what we call an open-ended task. So you are responsible for your own idea and concept in this task. So using artistic processes and photographic methods and guided by a particular theme, idea, or concept, you will create a folio or photographic work. This is an open-ended assignment which requires you to formulate your own topic and experiment to find appropriate photo media methods and materials for your idea. So assessment 2, you can do absolutely anything you like as long as it has some photographic, element that ties it all together. So your topic can be anything. Now this is both wonderful and difficult, because for your assessment task 1, you've been really confined to specific genres. For assessment task 2, you can do anything. Now, when I say anything, I mean anything within particular constraints has to be photographic. You can fuse, though, hand drawing or analog approaches with photography. You could do a lot of digital approach if you want to do a lot of Photoshop, that's fine. There's not a set number for this assignment. There's a guideline, which we'll talk about. It's usually between 9 to 12 images. Hello, welcome. But it will depend on what you're doing. So it depends on the complexity of the concept and the complexity of the approach that you're taking. So if you're making something that is heavily photoshopped, that requires you to do 100 layers plus per image, then your number is going to be a lot less in terms of what you end up submitting, and you'll negotiate that with me. If you don't negotiate it with me, you're handing in 9 images minimum, okay? But you will negotiate that with me, and we'll be able to come to a number that actually reflects the amount of work that you are required to do for the task. Whereas if you're just taking maybe a lot of maybe photo documentary, street photography, you might be submitting a little bit more depending on how many hours it required you to make the work, etc. So it becomes a little bit more flexible. So it's both exciting and also a little bit daunting for students. I get a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of choice available. So next week, this week's workshop and next week's classes will kind of shift to focusing on helping you with a framework so that you can understand different approaches, how artists have approached this topic, what they've done. In the tutorial, we'll do a few digital approaches that might inspire an idea for you, but your idea also has to be somewhat rigorous. So what I mean by this is an example of a non-rigorous assignment is a topic like I love Brisbane, right? I love Brisbane, great, I'm happy that you love Brisbane. However, I love Brisbane does not make a folio that is going to demonstrate conceptual rigor. That concept section of our folio, we need to have an idea that is a little bit more complex than I Love Brisbane. Now, if we started with the concept of I Love Brisbane, we could maybe drill down into, well, what does that actually mean? Why do we love Brisbane? And we can't do something like, I love Brisbane because of jacarandas. Full stop. Not complex enough, right? But maybe it's something like maybe it's the social connection, and maybe you want to demonstrate social connection through imagery, and that's more conceptually complex than I Love Brisbane, right? I am not expecting that you show up to class next week with a completely resolved idea. In fact, that would be terrible. This folio piece requires you to reflect and develop your idea over time. So what will happen typically in this assignment is students bring a whole series of ideas and they come and they say, what do you think about some of these? And some of them might be, oh, that's great, that's terrible, don't do that one, let's avoid. Or this one is interesting, but you need a little bit more work, or this is a little too broad, okay? And then over the weeks, maybe you take some photos. Maybe the idea is great, but the photos might be terrible. Maybe you just can't make what's in your brain, like what you see, happen. So you might bring your images and just go, Celeste, this is not working. Like, what on earth do I do now? Okay. Or maybe you have the opposite experience where you have no concept at all, no idea what you're doing, and you go and take a bunch of photos. And in those photos, one of those images is like amazing. And you look at it and you go, huh, well, that worked. How do I replicate that? And then, oh my God, Celeste, what's the concept? If I do this particular work, what on earth do I do for the rest of my idea? So it's a really conversational kind of piece that we'll be engaged with over time. So over a series of weeks. But you can see how if you just start the week before, you don't have the opportunity for that, what we call reflexive practice or reflective practice, where you maybe make something, it fails, you go back. You don't have time to do that piece of work, which usually means that you don't do very well in the assessment because it looks very rushed or very basic, without being too mean. There are a very small percentage of students that are actually able to pull this off by starting the week before. Like, I would say less than 5% of students. I have seen maybe 3 students in 8.5 years who have been able to pull it together with all-nighters the week before. It might be you. It is not me. I do not have that. I do not possess that capability. My brother possesses that capability. He used to leave his assignments to the last minute. He's a lawyer. That's a subtopic. But yeah, he used to leave his stuff to the last minute, and I used to always say to him, you're going to fail. You need to work harder. And then he would get like 90%. He would do the essay the night before, have attended classes like on and off maybe for the last 3 weeks, hasn't done the class readings, crams the night before, photographic memory, gets a crazy grade. Yeah, that's not me. I wish that was me, but I know that if I was doing this assignment, I probably couldn't do it the week before. It just wouldn't happen. Okay, so at 8 to 16, negotiated with your tutor. Usually the sweet spot is between 9 to 12 images. And with this one, you actually have to do a piece of writing, but it's only 200 words maximum. And it's an artist statement, and that's a piece of professional writing, not academic writing. And we will do a workshop and tutorial about how to write that very specific genre of text. But you won't be able to write your artist statement until you have your concept, your idea, maybe some of your images worked out. Because usually when people write their artist statement first and then their idea changes, it means they then just inevitably have to go back and rewrite their artist statement. So I'm saying leave your artist statement until we do the workshop. Make your images first. Your images are the biggest part of your grade. Leverage the biggest part of your grade. Okay, are there any general questions about this assignment piece before we move to doing the activity for today? Not yet. Purely individual. So not a group assignment, individual. Anyone online have a question? Or maybe not yet? Maybe you can let me know not yet in the chat if you don't have one yet so that I know I can move on. I don't want to cut people off if they're madly typing. Thank you, Rochelle. Okay, so far so good. So not your final opportunity for questions, always opportunities for questions, always happy for you to ask them at any point if you have them. No such thing as a silly one. It actually means you want to learn and engage in the content. So that makes me happy. The e-content also looked at some approaches, suggested approaches for this piece. Yes, this is the final piece. Correct, the 50% piece. Yeah, this is what we're looking at right now. And there's no exam for this unit. So this 50% piece, once you've done this 50% piece, that's it. There's no exam. That's the end of KVD 104, as long as you don't fail this piece of assessment. Question? No. Just the overwhelming sense of it's worth half your grade kind of sinking in. Okay, yeah. Don't worry, I will help you. You just need to attend classes and do the work. As long as you attend classes and do the work, I will help you. If you don't attend classes and you don't do the work, good luck. Okay, so in the e-content, there are some approaches. Now, you don't have to fit within these approaches, and we will look more deeply at these next week. However, they're just there as ideas for starting points, loose, overarching, broad concepts that you might want to fit within. So we have this experiential approach, and this approach is based on your experiences. So you may be at a certain place and a certain time in which you record it photographically. This is what we call a photo documentary style of work. And in the e-content, there is an artist called Trent Park, who is also the artist featured in this image here. And this style is where you take pictures that reveal what we call the decisive moment. Do you know the decisive moment? Not yet. Henri Cartier-Bresson, the forefather of photo documentary images and the decisive moment, the moment at which you click the shutter button and you capture something that will never again occur. Right? So like the moment that you see somebody walking through a whole lot of birds and then all of a sudden they take off in flight, that capturing that really specific moment where something has happened, a moment in time. That is this genre, experiential genre. This is seems very easy, but is actually quite difficult to do because it requires you to immerse yourself in finding experiences of people doing interesting things right at the correct time that you press the shutter. There is no room for error in this approach to photo making, photo taking. So that's one idea. Another idea is what we call a directorial approach. And this is the work of Cindy Sherman, who I believe you are familiar with by way of having looked at her when you were exploring the genre of portraiture. So Cindy Sherman does what we call a constructed approach, where she dresses up, she constructs scenes involving props and people and places and creates meaning by taking a directorial approach She constructs the image involving props or approaching sitters or finding costumes and locations. So you might want to do this approach where you are essentially the director. I've seen students do this approach with things like taking the story of Alice in Wonderland, for example, and recreating the Mad Hatter's Tea Party in a directorial approach through a series of images. We have digital manipulation, and this is Leah King-Smith's work, and we looked at Leah's work in last week's workshop. Did we look at Leah's in last week's workshop? Week before, 2 weeks ago, when you looked at Christian Thompson and this approach as well, Leah's approach. Leah's an academic also at QUT, so you may see her from time to time, and a lot of prominent art galleries in Australia own her work, including the library sometimes puts an e-block. Sometimes they rotate the work, so you might be able to see a King-Smith work one day when you're walking through the space. So you could involve digital manipulation to convey your ideas, Photoshop, Lightroom, etc. And the last two approaches, a formal approach, which is very similar to abstraction, but you might wish for your assessment task to combine maybe digital approaches and a formal approach. Remember, for your assessment 1B, you cannot do digital manipulation on your abstraction photos. You can only do color correction, cropping, or black and white. No, digital making of abstract images, but maybe you want to consider that for the folio. And then the last one here, which is conceptual, which is a really complex genre. So conceptual work is what we call self-reflexive work, and it means that the artist is making a statement about the tools or the processes that are being used in order to alert the viewer into what is being said or constructed. So Rosemary Lang, that's the artist whose work is displayed here. She, in this series of work, which is called Ground Speed, she carpets rainforests in order to make, she physically does this. So there's other ones where she has got rolls of carpet and actually carpets around trees to make statements about colonization, but also statements about how we're ruining the environment. We will come back to conceptual. It's very, it's a deep genre. So we'll have to have a look at a few other artists in order to better understand it. Okay, so what I want to do now, that's enough of me talking. Now it's doing time. This is what we're going to do, what you're going to do. Going to do, not gonna do. That's very Aussie, I'm a little bit tired today, so my accent is creeping in a little bit. I try to do my enunciation very good for classes, but sometimes the running English slang seeps in, so I'll try to watch that. What we're going to do today is I'm going to pop you into groups, and I'm going to make 6 groups in total, and each group will have a different folio of work. So folio, body of work, or series of work. This means, like with your folio, there has to be a relationship between the works, the images that you are taking. Okay, so what I want you to do is each group will have a series of works. Each slide is a different example, okay? Different artists, different body of work, different folio. And then there are a few links, and I will make sure that these are available. I think they are available under the workshop slides. Yes, understanding folio group activity. If you go to the week 7 workshop slides, you should be able to click the links. There's some research about the folio or body of work. So each group will get one of these different artists. This is the activity instruction. So in your groups, I want you to discuss your answers to the following questions, and you may also like to make some notes as your group is going to present their findings at the end of the workshop. We might make it the beginning of the tutorial, depending on if we run out of time. But the questions are, what is the concept behind the photographic work? So what's the idea? What techniques did the artist use to try to emphasize their concept? And what was the inspiration behind the folio of work? They're the three questions that I want for you to understand when you do this activity. Okay. People online, can I have a thumbs up in the chat if that makes sense? If you're not in the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra space, can you just give me a thumbs up? IRL. No. Do you want, yeah, maybe it's easier. So what I will get the people in the classroom to do is to leave the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra space. I would have already registered your attendance because you've been in there. As long as you're in there once, I can register your attendance. That's fine. That's okay. At the end of the lesson, I'll get you to come up and just make sure that I've got you on my roll. Great. Okay, so what we will do now is I will, if you're in the room, can you jump out of Collaborate Ultra so I don't put you into an online group? I will sort out the online groups first. So people online, whatever your group number is, I want it to correspond with the example number. So group 1 will do example 1. Group 2 will do example 2. Group 3 will do example 3. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, and I'm going to pop you into those randomly assigned breakout groups. And in class, people 1, 2, I think I'm going to put you guys into 2 groups of 3. Is that okay? Great. And online people, I'm going to put you into, hello, welcome. Hi. I'm going to put you into, actually, we might have enough number of groups. Okay, so I'm going to put the online people, I'm going to put you into 3 groups. You should be in a group of 4 or 3. I think, yeah, in a group of 4 or 3. So group 1, you're doing example 1. Group 2, you're doing example 2. Group 3, you're doing example 3. And make sure you flick to the end for the questions. And you need to look at the resources I'm sending you now. And people in the classroom,
Hi, Livin. Yeah. How are you? Yeah, how are you? Yeah, ready to analysis. We are in group 2, okay. We are the example 2, example 2. I can see the example 2, okay. What is that? Anyone opening the for presentation? Yeah. Because we need to open the presentation. Hi Levin and mình Seong 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 Yin Kwok Seong is it correct? Seong, how do I call it? What is the correct way to say your name? Is it Shang? Shang? Oh yeah, Shang. I remember one of the lecturer has called your name. And your name is Shang? I don't know. Shang? Hello guys. Hello guys. Hello guys. Has you guys already opened the presentation? Sorry. Yeah, because we need to analyze the example photos on the PowerPoint.
Hi.
Hello, Levin. Hi, Shane.
Hi.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Is anybody know where the question we need to answer?
The last slide in the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
All
Three
right.
question.
Thank you. So, what do you think of the question one?
I don't know. Maybe the concept is Christmas or
Yeah, Christmas.
Then we should type our answer.
Yeah. What do you think the concept, Levin, for the example 2?
Wait a minute.
I don't know if Christmas is concept or inspiration.
Yeah, it's all about Christmas things,
Yeah.
like the Christmas trees and flowers.
Hmm. Can you open the link, because I cannot open the link.
And how to decorate. Yeah. What link?
The link in the
links in
in the
slides.
example 2, yeah, in the slides. I cannot access it.
Can't open it.
I can open it. It's a introduction about the
Okay. Now I can open it. Okay. Christmas holidays with Bob's family, Mermaid Beach, Queensland. Okay. Hmm.
two.艺术家使用的马球。
Have you started on the abstract assessment?
Nope.
Yeah, me too. I will start on this week. Maybe today.
And in the end of the day, you said to yourself, maybe tomorrow.
And I will start today. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Oh, this is for Christmas holidays with Bob's family.
Yeah. Yes, I think the concept is Christmas, maybe, or family Christmas. Christmas with family.
Yeah, but you can see the colors in their clothes, trousers, shoes, but not the whole picture, right?
Ah, yeah, yeah. So just focus on the clothes and on the flowers.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
And I want to figure out why the actor it is. Well, to be honest, I don't think these beautiful these pictures are beautiful. When I opened the first link, I just like, ah. So what the techniques that the artists use?
Maybe color highlight or selective color, because he will highlight the gift color and the Christmas color. He wants to highlight the element of Christmas. Yes, maybe there is the techniques.
But why only the closest? And not everybody is closest.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And I think this is horrible. Don't you think that? It's, it's kind of horrible.
Because no one wearing clothes, just one or two person wearing clothes.
Do you have any ideas, Kim?
What question? Question 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. I would say the technique that the artist use painting. Yeah, same as the same as Vino said, the color for the Christmas.
Yeah.
Let me search. What about the third question?
What is it?
Inspiration. What is
Inspiration.
the inspiration behind this folio? I don't know what this inspiration mean. Maybe the background. I don't know.
Inspiration. Inspiration.
What do you think, Shang? Is it correct to call your name Shang?
Oh, yes.
Shang, okay.
Inspiration. Maybe. Maybe they just go to Christmas holiday and they want to save the memory.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Or some recording people have a party when Christmas holiday.
Or we could say share a story at the heart of Christmas.
Yeah.
Or like everyone renew. But did anybody do the PowerPoint that we can present presentation?
Well,
Presentation.
I know. I think I have the answer, but I'm not sure whether it is correct or not.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. So
You got
we can see that each pictures highlight the main body, right? So I think if you want to have a clear theme, the theme, sometimes you need to highlight the main body and even in landscape photography. Although there is not a very direct subject like documentary, there is still a relatively prominent subject or subject group. So the photography can express media. Is that right?
Okay.
Well, I will type my answer to type it. Inspiration. But the third question, the inspiration behind. You ask the artist, ask me. I don't know. Ask the artist. It's fine. I'll type the first two.
I think I will type the concept. If you want to type the techniques or inspiration, that would be good.
let us make it. Maybe we can think about each things represent, like the group one. The sky
Yeah.
maybe means freedom, and the wings means the freedom. Oh no.
Oh. Okay, so we need to start typing. Okay. Christmas.
Wonderful people. I've just brought you back from those breakout groups. All right, so this is the part of the lesson where we are out of time. So you should be able to see everybody's responses and answers here. I would encourage you to have a look at the different bodies of work and what your classmates said about them, because they might inspire some thoughts about your folio. We will leave this here for this week. But next week, I want to more deeply visit the responses that you have here, and we'll use this as a starting point for our further exploration into the complex concepts that could make up your folio work. Try saying that 3 times fast. Complex concepts that make up your folio work. Oh, tongue twister. Okay, I'm challenging myself. That is all we have time for. For the tutorial, I'm going to give you opportunity for feedback. So in the half an hour break, you might like to take the time to organize your images a little bit, go get something to eat, get caffeinated so you're ready for the conversations that can be had. I will leave some time. I'm also going to test your understanding a little bit in a Kahoot. So it's not test, you don't get graded for it. But just to make sure that we all understand what we need to do for portraiture and we all understand what we need to do for abstraction, because sometimes students make very basic errors which result in failure, and we want to avoid that. Okay, everybody, great to see you. I will see you in the tutorial. At the beginning of the tutorial, I'll bring the roll up, and I can, if you weren't in the class before, I'll mark you off at the start of that time. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Yeah, go, run. I will do the same. You want to run with us? I'm too slow. Don't let the old one slow you down. You youthful folk. Don't say that. See you in the tutorial, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.